So, you just got paid, but what now? What should you do with your paycheck? Should you maybe go and toss everything on red and try to double it up real quick? No, I'm just kidding. Please do not do that. In reality though, what should you be doing with your paycheck each and every month? It's a great question that many people have, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the exact step-by-step plan of what you should be doing with your paycheck each and every month. What's going on, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is John, and my goal is to help you achieve a better financial future by planning, saving, and investing your money. If you like the content, please go over to where the little tiny thumbs up is and just tap it. It really actually helps out the channel tremendously. Let's get right into the video. In a world where we see an average of 4,000 to 10,000 ads a day, really enticing us to buy anything and everything, it's easy to see how the average amount people save each year is only 5.3% of their income, or that 41% of Americans could afford a $1,000 emergency expense if it were to come up. But how do we get out of this cycle of being paycheck to paycheck and in a better financial state each and every month? Well, if you take these steps with your paycheck each and every month, it will help pay huge dividends for you in the future and get you out of the paycheck to paycheck grind. Step 1, put into your employer's retirement account. Okay, before you have any money hit your accounts, you want to make sure that you are taking advantage of any retirement accounts that your job may offer. This would be something like a 401k plan. Now, there are two different ways that you can contribute to a 401k, either into a traditional 401k or a Roth 401k. The only difference is really how taxes are handled. In a traditional 401k, you're contributing pre-tax dollars, and in a Roth, post-tax dollars. So you pay taxes now or when you're in retirement. Either way, you're going to pay taxes. Now, I know that this may not be available to everyone, and depending on where you live and what country you're from, these may be called different things. But this is a great way to stockpile some money away for retirement before you ever get the chance of spending it. Now, it's an added bonus if your employer offers some sort of matching program as well. This is literally free money that you can take advantage of and should whenever you can. So if your employer says we will match dollar per dollar of what you put into the account up to, let's say, 3% of your salary, then make sure you are definitely contributing the amount that you're going to be getting the max amount possible. Depending on your investment and retirement goals, I would say the minimum that you should be investing in this account is whatever the employer match is. And if you would like a bit more of a passive approach to retirement, by utilizing, let's just say, a 401k plan only, which later in the video I'll show you why this isn't a good idea and having multiple income streams is much better, then maybe possibly up to 15% of your total income. Okay, step 2, cover your necessities. Now that you've established a little bit of a retirement plan with investing in a 401k and paid yourself first, the next step is to make sure that all necessities are covered only. There are a few reasons to doing this. First, to obviously make sure that you don't end up living on the streets, but also by keeping your checking account at a low balance, it allows you to not spend excessive amounts of money each month, and it forces you to save as much as possible. You're not wasting money on unnecessary items that you don't need. What you want to do is determine what you need to live on each and every month and have that automatically deposited into your checking account every single month. Now notice here that I said need to live on and not want. So for example, things like housing, food, transportation, utilities, but probably not something like the new Xbox, even though it does look pretty cool. So if it takes you $2,000 a month to live, have $1,000 each paycheck go directly into your checking account to cover your essential expenses. You always want to make sure that the bare necessities are always covered first. Typically, I would say this is where the majority of people stop when it comes to diversifying their paycheck. But what you will see is having not just one account can be very beneficial in not only understanding your full financial picture, but honestly, to help cut down on unnecessary spending. Step 3, contribute to an emergency fund. You now have saved a little bit for retirement and covered your basic expenses. Your next step is to have some of your paycheck put into a savings account until you have 4 to 6 months of expenses saved up. Now you can do this in a couple of different ways. First, you could deposit a certain amount of money into your account each month, let's say a few $100s, until you have 4 to 6 months saved up in an account for emergencies only. Or if you don't need to utilize the money for what I'll be discussing in the next step, you can save the rest of your income for the next few months or so and be on your way to a much more financially stable position. A huge note about this account is that it is for emergencies only. So that doesn't mean that if there's a sale on something to go and dip into your emergency fund. You only dip into this account if it's for an absolute emergency. In reality, once this account is funded, just pretty much set it aside and don't touch it at all. Having an emergency fund is crucial to anyone's financial success. By having an emergency fund, it allows you to be prepared if something like, let's say, a pandemic happens, or you lose your job, or maybe you have a medical expense that you weren't expecting that came up. It gives you that financial cushion that you need to be safe during tougher times, which unfortunately are inevitably going to happen one day. But the ultimate benefit of having this account is having true peace of mind. Instead of worrying about how you will pay your next bill, you can focus more on building wealth and financial freedom. Step 4, pay off your debt. For the next one, it can be done in tandem with step 3. As I mentioned before, if you were taking the approach of putting in, let's say, a few $100s a month into a savings account to build an emergency fund, then the rest of it should be spent on paying off unwanted debt. The first thing that you want to do is understand all of the different types of debt that you may owe. So maybe you have student loan debt, which is the second largest debt that Americans owe. Car loan debt, which is the third largest debt that Americans owe. Or hopefully not, but if you have credit card debt, which over 47% of adults do, then you should cover this as well. You're trying to determine which debt you should be paying off first. So for me, I like to take the approach of paying off the highest interest rate first and working my way down. This method is called the debt avalanche method and works phenomenally when getting your debt paid off quickly. But the premise is really to pay the minimum payments on lower interest debt and more towards, let's say, your higher interest rate debt. Then once the first debt is paid off, you take the payment and apply it to the second highest one and keep going from there. Once you have begun or finished paying off debt, it will bring this sense of accomplishment and achievement that will really give you the confidence to try and pay off debt even quicker as you could before. And once all of your debt is paid off, it really frees up so much money for you to start having your money work for you instead of just working for money. Step 5, automatically invest, but not just in the stock market. Before I mentioned it was important to build multiple streams of income for your retirement instead of just a 401k plan. And there is one extremely important reason for this: diversification. Typically, in an employer-sponsored 401k plan, you are really limited to what you can invest in. Although you may be able to invest in things like index funds or other funds, that's usually about it. You want to make sure that you are investing in things that will yield you a safe but also a nice return for retirement. So being limited to a few funds may restrict the return that you can earn, as well as it may present more risk of what you are invested in overall. By only having a few funds in a 401k, you're really suffering here from lack of diversification, which is really hurting you overall. Second, by having only one income stream, it puts you at risk for a downturn. So if the stock market goes down, while you're in retirement, it affects all of your income. But if you have multiple income streams of, let's say, a 401k plan, maybe you have a pension, Social Security, real estate, and even others, it mitigates your risk of losing large percentages of your income at once. There are plenty of options in terms of having multiple sources of income, whether that be setting up automatic investments into a Roth IRA or separate brokerage accounts, which is something I covered in one of my previous videos. My personal favorite is real estate. The beauty of real estate is the possibility of leveraging your money to make an income through things like rentals, month in and month out. But the best investment, in my personal opinion, that you can make is actually in yourself, because the return on this could be infinite. Whether that be investing in books, podcasts, courses, side hustles that you want to fund, really the possibilities are endless. But with investing in yourself, you have much more control over the outcome versus something like, let's say, the stock market. By having this control, it allows you to predict your retirement much better, and in my opinion, leaves it less up to chance. So there you have it, 5 things that you should be doing with your money each and every time that you get paid. So to recap, you want to invest in your company's retirement plan, automatically transfer the amount of money that you need for necessities, form an emergency fund, pay off debt, and invest in either other stock market accounts, real estate, or other investments like yourself. I hope you enjoyed this content today, and if you did, please make sure to drop a like on the video and to subscribe for all new content. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.